Hello, it's Christine Faulkner, and it is a beautiful day here in Elk Grove, California. I am an estate planning attorney in Elk Grove, living trust lawyer in Sacramento. Thank you for tuning in to another edition of Catching Up with Christine. Today, I wanted to continue my discussion about Dynasty Trust Planning for your children. And why might you want to do this versus why might you not want to do this? So stay tuned, because we're going to talk about the difference between making an outright distribution to your children or to your beneficiaries versus making a distribution in trust. The difference between that, what does that mean, and what is the outcome for your kids? Why do some people choose not to do this versus choosing to create that kind of trust? And what are some of the factors that parents look at with respect to their kids when making this decision? So let's get started. So first, I talked in my last video about Dynasty Trust Planning, which is basically creating a trust for your children to receive the assets that you leave for them after you pass away. It is an irrevocable trust. So it does have a separate tax ID. It is its own entity. And so there is definitely some complexity associated with this type of trust planning versus the other option, which is maybe just leaving the assets to your children outright. And so what does that word outright mean? It's a bit of a misnomer because it's not necessarily an outright distribution to them right away, but depending on how old your kids are, depending on how responsible you feel like they are, and when you're making your plan, you would be able to actually create a plan to leave money for your kids outright, although they might not be able to get it until they were a little bit older, say 30 or 35 or whatever you felt was appropriate. So an outright distribution could look something like this. You create a plan and you have two minor children who are now 5 and 7 when you're creating your plan. And of course, you're thinking to yourself, I have no idea what kind of people my children are going to turn out to be. They're 5 and 7. So you decide to create a plan that does not have that asset protection dynasty trust planning in it, but instead you create a plan that leaves an outright distribution to them. And you say, well, I want both of my kids to get everything equally if we pass away, if you're a couple or married, or if I pass away, if you're single. And but if that were to happen anytime soon, my kids would be way too young. And so I wouldn't want them to get my assets because legally they couldn't get my assets. I'd want to leave those assets in trust to be available for them to take outright at a certain age. And so what that could look like is creating a trust for your children after you pass away, where maybe they don't get all of the assets until they're 30. You have a successor trustee who is managing that trust account for them. But maybe you say at 22, I'd be okay if they could ask for and receive a percentage of whatever was in there, say a third. Or maybe you decide, I don't want to allow them to take a third because I won't know just how much money that is. That could be a lot of money. Maybe you decide at 22, your child can ask for and receive $10,000 or $20,000, whatever it is that you would decide. And then again, maybe at a different age, say 25, or maybe upon an event happening like a college graduation or, some kind of graduation from school, they can get a certain gift or a certain percentage. Or if they want to buy a home, they can get a certain dollar amount or a certain percentage, or if they get married. So there's a lot of flexibility in how you create this. So you can sort of choose different ages and events that trigger your children's ability to ask for and receive the money. And then at some age, let's say 30, the whole trust ends. So in the meantime, while they can approach the trustee and ask for those sums, given that they've reached that age or the event has been triggered, such as a college graduation, As to the rest of the assets, your successor trustee will be managing those on behalf of your children and making decisions about how the money is both invested and used. They're in complete control. I like to call them kind of like a surrogate parent, making the same kind of decisions you would have made about your money when your kids were older, about whether you chose to invest, give them money for a car, give them money for college, give them money for a house, all of those things. You would be making a decision about that. Well, this is really your surrogate making those decisions for you. And so the great thing is they're deciding yay or nay. Your child might say, hey, I want $50,000 to go on a trip around the world. And your trustee has the ability to say, oh, I think that's a great idea. You've proven to be a very responsible adult. You've graduated from college, or maybe you've gotten a master's degree. You deserve it. Versus someone a child who's never worked, maybe hasn't shown that level of responsibility. Maybe your trustee would say, no way. I'm not going to give you $50,000 to go flit around the world when you haven't really shown much responsibility by even getting a job. So completely up to your trustee. And that's why it's so important that you choose your trustees carefully, because you want them to be making kind of consistent decisions as you and your spouse would be making. So many people really like this idea. They feel like, yeah, or they have older kids. They already know their kids are responsible. They've watched them grow up and they kind of see who they are already and know that they're great people, good with money, and really don't want to, what they consider maybe saddle them with a complicated plan involving asset protection, rather just see their kids get the money outright and do with it what they would like. And so for many clients, it's a great option, really comprehensive. It gives them the control of choosing at what ages their kids could actually get access to the money or part of it, and then eventually get all of it. So nice little bit of control there that we all want. We all want to have control, and especially when it comes to minor children. I talk a lot about the importance of, being aware of how money impacts young people. And most parents are very concerned about not wanting their children to come into a bunch of money too young, because it really could sour them from working and having some skin in the game in their own lives, right? To become responsible with their education, financially, working, work life, etc. So that's why many people choose that kind of planning, because it's a great fit for them. Other folks who really value asset protection, they may be professionals themselves, doctors, lawyers, dentists, where there's a high level of lawsuits or malpractice claims. They've got a fair amount of wealth that they've acquired and anticipate acquiring even more. They want to make sure that everything that they've worked really hard for is not going to be lost by either an irresponsible child or by a creditor of that child. They really want to build generational wealth and make sure that they have a hand in protecting it, not leaving it to chance that their kids are going to maybe make great decisions all of the time. So this is a way for the parent to really lock that down in an irrevocable, asset protection trust that allows a lot of flexibility for their kids to continue to manage it, but it gives the parents a huge amount of control to make sure that it can't be taken by their kids' creditors. Basically a guarantee that it will be there for their kids and their grandkids and so on down through the generation. So it really is a generational wealth transfer mechanism that for those who are concerned about preserving generational wealth, it is a great way to do it. But it also gives parents an ability to control, if their kids are not necessarily that responsible, to kind of have the best of both worlds, to make sure that their kids' creditors can't come and grab this money, especially if they unfortunately have gone down that path of irresponsibility, maybe become addicted to gambling and racking up debts, and attempting to use this fund of money that you've left for them to fund their habit. there's a nice mechanism in the trust that allows another trustee to step in and take that control away from them and never allow them access directly to the funds when they're under that influence or have developed that addiction. And so the nice thing is that the new trustee can basically still use those funds for your child's well-being and health and happiness and support, but will limit that money, of course, from being available for your child if they're addicted to gambling or drugs, to be able to use those funds for those purposes. So it's a nice mechanism, a bit more complicated, requiring a separate tax ID, requiring a little bit higher level of sophistication and management, but well worth it for families who really find deep value in wanting to pass generational wealth and have a hand in creating exactly how that works. So let us know if you have questions about this. Reach out to us. Happy to answer those questions. If you know that either one of these planning techniques is something you need or want to know more about, that's why we're here, to help support you in that. We're always happy to answer questions. If you feel like you're ready to maybe take that next step to do at least get some education about what kind of exposure you might have and what you might need for your family, we'd love to see you in a family wealth planning session. Give our office a call and we can walk you through how that happens and how you can get on our calendar and have an opportunity to spend up to 2 hours with me in that meeting. Get to know me a little bit better, and of course on my end, really get to deeply know you and your situation so that we can talk about what you need to do to protect yourself and maybe get what you want. So you're not up at night wondering what would happen if something happened to you. I know for many people it is a very disconcerting feeling depending on what level of experience you're at there. Some people it's just something they fleetingly think about. Other people it really does worry them, and they have deep concern about wanting to do everything they need to do to protect their family and their loved ones, and they're willing to do what they need to do to get there. So no matter where you are on that spectrum, we can help you. So I know that we can help you, so we'd love to hear from you. Subscribe to our channel if you like our videos. I think that there's probably an icon with our logo on it. You can click on that and subscribe, and you'll get updated when we put new content out. Let us know if you like our videos and tell me what else you want to know about, and I'm happy to create a video around that. Take care and enjoy the sunshine. Have a great day.